Welcome to Bunny Trails, a whimsical adventure of idioms and other turns of phrase. I'm Dan Pugh.
And I'm Shauna Harrison. Each week, we take an idiom or other turn of phrase and try to tell the story from its entry into the English language to how it's used today. Welcome to our first Quick Quips episode, where we look at phrases that, for whatever reason, don't fit into our regular format. And to kick off this series, we are living the dream. According to Oxford English Dictionary, to live the dream means, quote, to achieve the way of life one has dreamed of or longed for, to realize one's hopes and aspirations, end quote.
I do like this idea. Like, there was a long time, probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, where we would say this frequently with like, how's it going? Living the dream, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe some of you listening can send us a note on Patreon about it, but like, I'm not 100% sure why I say that, but it must have been some sort of an 80s or 90s TV show or movie or pop culture person that maybe in an interview would have said something like that. It just became a thing that we all did. Or maybe I'm just the weird one and I did it and like my friend group did and it was just something that was internal to us. I don't know, but living the dream, it's like it's great. Like we're living exactly everything that we'd hoped for, even when we weren't. It was aspirational sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I still hear it today at the office sometimes. So
probably from people my age.
One of the earliest examples of this phrase is found in the January 1878 edition of Ballew's Monthly Magazine out of Boston, Massachusetts. Here's an excerpt, quote, "The two were living the dream that had blessed them in early youth," end quote. So we still use living the dream to express this same idea, that life is wonderful and we've achieved or are doing the things we desire in life. However, it took on additional meaning in the latter part of the 1900s to include an ironic or sarcastic quality. In Brett Harvey's 1993 work, The 50s, A Women's World History, one chapter titled Living the Dream describes post-war suburban life that was sold as ideal but often fell short. Crowded housing, rigid roles, and daily struggles. The chapter title itself carries its own statement of irony. People were supposedly living the dream. They even expressed it themselves that way. But the reality was very different.
I'm feeling very seen about what I've just said a few moments ago.
This use of the phrase as a kind of wry commentary is an example of that shift from earnest aspiration to the ironic, sometimes sarcastic meaning commonly used today.
Dang, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We used to say living the dream and I said it was aspirational, but like in my head and I'm like, we were not living the dream though. I mean, like we were really struggling, but I don't know if it's just that in my head I was trying for it to be aspirational or if it's just that my generation are literally just sarcastic and ironic about everything we say, thanks to Alanis Morissette and many other things.
Kind of like it is what it is, saying that, almost its own coping mechanism.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So this was mostly found in the spoken language of the day, but it did make it into popular media, especially in the early 2000s. Up next, we'll look at how the phrase is used today, but first, a quick thank you to our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by our amazing patrons on Patreon. It's 100% free to join the Bunny Trails community, so give our weekly discussions and poll questions a try.
If you love our content and want more, we have some paid tiers too, including early access to the week's episode, a weekly behind-the-scenes video, and original digital artwork once a month made by me.
You can also get awesome name recognition like Pat Rowe and JGP do every episode. And our top spot is currently occupied by the amazing Mary Hulsig Lopez. You can join the Bunny Trails community for free at Bunny Trails Pod on Patreon. That's patreon.com/bunnytrailspod.
A modern example of the phrase is in the 2013 episode of the TV sitcom The Office, which was titled Livin' the Dream. The episode is part of the big wrap-up of the show, and it follows the characters as they attempt to live their dreams, or just decide what their dreams are. The Office is notorious for its dry wit and its frank representation of daily life.
Can I let you in on a secret?
Go for it.
I have never seen The Office.
I haven't either.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay,
I've
everyone,
seen like this one
I'm
clip
so
where he's
sorry,
doing
all of
parkour.
you. The collective gasp that must have gone up when I said I've never seen The Office, and then the just like the fact that everyone's turned this podcast off now because
They won't even
you
know I
also,
haven't.
yeah, no, they stuck along long enough to make fun of me, and then when you
Oh,
said you hadn't heard it either, now all of you, well, all of them because they're gone now, have collectively
they're just like,
collectively
oh, done
shut
with
the.
these
So
people.
for the four of you who are still listening, thank you very much. I've seen tons of clips from the show. I feel like I can do tons of gags from The Office. I've just never actually sat down and watched an episode because,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're people that my friends know or something. Like the people I know these people or so because I've heard people talk about them and they're like whatever's happening in these characters' lives, you know?
Yeah, like Jim and Pam. I mean, like
Yeah,
everybody knows Jim and Pam
yeah,
are supposed to end up together, right?
right. Exactly. It's like, but I no, those aren't even people somehow.
No, they're
Somehow
characters.
they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's very funny. And then like the whole Jim looks right at the camera or Pam looks right at the camera, right? Just like that whole kind of a thing, which I do
Oh
too
yeah,
sometimes,
like
just
I've
in my
used
day-to-day
meme.
life,
I've probably used and seen more memes than I have of clips of the show.
right?
Actually,
Well, I think the point is that this is the type of example of a cultural zeitgeist where you don't even have to have watched it to have been heavily influenced by it. So, any phrases or things, this is partly how words and phrases can spread is because they just get so integrated into, societal touch points that people are aware of them even if they're not engaged in that particular area of life.
"Livin' the Dream" by Five Finger Death Punch is a 2020 song that uses the phrase as a means of ironic social commentary. And we're going to look at this song a little closer and find out what one of the musicians, Zoltan Bathory, has to say about the ideals of the American dream during our behind the scenes segment, which airs every Friday on our Patreon. So you can find that at patreon.com/bunnytrailspod.
Awesome.
The song "Livin' the Dream" by Morgan Wallen was also released in 2020. It offers a personal take on the concept, as Wallen discusses the hidden parts of his life, while from the outside things may appear dreamlike. Here are a few of the lyrics. Quote, "I look like a rock star in and out of cop cars, trash in hotel bars. If I see the sunrise, it's 'cause I stayed up all night. Drinking 'cause I need to. Damn it, what a good life." End quote.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I noticed both of these songs were released in 2020. I don't know if they were written prior to COVID or written during COVID, but I could totally see why people were writing songs about how their way of life has shifted, and a lot of people are angry about that, and sometimes that anger is well placed and sometimes it's not. But the point is everybody has a right to be frustrated that their lives have been upended.
Right.
So it doesn't change the fact that something has to be done,
Yeah.
but I mean everybody has a right to be upset about that, and songs are a great way to express that.
Yeah, for sure. And that time frame led to a lot of introspection, and that results in a lot of art creation,
Absolutely.
oftentimes. So that's about all we have for today. If you have any thoughts on the show or pop culture references we should have included, reach out to us on Patreon, patreon.com/bunnytrailspod, or comment on our website, bunnytrailspod.com.
All right, it is poll time. Recently we asked our patrons who would narrate the documentary of your life.
Mary said, quote, "I had a hard time choosing because these are all amazing narrators. I chose Whoopi Goldberg because I can see my life as a cross between TNG and Sister Act, always on a journey into the unknown, knowing too much to ignore the truth, and setting it all to music." End quote.
That is I think, very true for Mary. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. If it's pure narration, Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock would for me. They both have a big, loud laugh like I do, and they'd need that anytime they like read a quote or something.
That's good. I would probably go with someone like Morgan Freeman or maybe Patrick Stewart. To be honest, I think the story of my life would be better as an audiobook than a documentary film, though. And in that case, I would want it narrated by Luke Daniels.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. Now, Dustin agreed on one of those. He said, quote, "I think Mr. Stewart would do a good job. But at this point, I know two podcast hosts that I would rather hear hosting my life," end quote. Dustin,
Aw.
I also think Ollie Mann and Helen Zaltzman would do a great job of it.
I thought Dustin was talking about us.
Yes, joking aside, though, Dustin, thank you. We appreciate the compliment. As a reminder, our silly polls mean absolutely nothing and are not scientifically valid. And patrons of all levels, including our free tiers, can take part. Head over to patreon.com/bunnytrailspod to take this week's poll. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, remember, words belong to their users.